Podcast guesting. Could it be that you've decided that this is the year that podcast guesting is going to be your number one visibility strategy? Why would that matter to you? What emotional triggers might podcast guesting scratch that it would have you jumping out of bed every day saying, yes, that's what I would like to do? Well, I've been thinking about it and I made a list. Maybe you'd like to boost your authority factor. Maybe you'd like to earn recognition as a thought leader. Share your personal story to inspire others and leave your legacy. You want to be seen, be heard, and get known. Maybe you want to become an influencer in your niche market and make friends with icons of influence. Am I hitting any triggers here? Do you want to reach audiences beyond the people you already know and are being introduced or referred to by people that you already know? All of these benefits are intoxicating when you think about it. To be seen, to be heard, to be recognized, to be having a platform to share your message with a much wider audience and do some good in the world. All of this is very exciting. And you know what else? It's really fun, especially if you're a good talker and someone who likes to create relationships with other people. When you get to be masterful as a podcast guest, you can have all this fun and be intoxicated by all these emotional benefits that you're going to welcome. But on a more practical basis, you can also drive leads, inbound client inquiries. You can create collaborations with hosts and other influencers. And of course, you can drive cash in your business because more of the right people will be reaching up to you to say, can we do business? And who doesn't want more of that? So let's agree for a moment that these are all welcome outcomes that you want. They're desirable outcomes that you want. They're worthy outcomes that you are worthy of. You may be asking yourself, do I take this on and learn how to book myself on shows, or do I hire an agency to do it for me? It's a fair question, it's a valid question, and it's an important question. And that's what I wanted to talk a little bit about with you today. I don't mean to oversimplify it, but the more you earn, the less time you have, and the less you earn, the more time you have. And so just putting that filter through, if you're running a multiple 6, 7, or 8-figure business, you're a CEO of a leading enterprise, and the likelihood is that it is in your best interest to hire an agency to represent you so that you can keep your eye on the big balls that you are leading and navigating as the CEO of a major organization. On the other hand, if you are in a growth mode and have not yet reached multiple 6 or 7 or 8 figures, chances are that this is a skill that you can learn yourself and actually become more than slightly effective in a very short order of time if you are so inclined. So how do you decide what's best for you? Well, let's first make sure that podcast guesting is a vehicle that could be right for you, given where you are in your business right now and your personal qualities. Are you a good talker? And are you good at building connections and relationships with people, first by typing and then talking? Oftentimes, our first interaction with someone is through an email or a direct message or some way to bring our pitch to the attention of someone who has the influence to open a door. So are you good at typing, and are you good at talking and building relationships? Yes or no? Do you know who your ideal client is? This is really important because there's over 2 million podcasts on the air these days and growing steadily. And you don't want to just be on any show, but you want to be on a show where you can find the people that are interested in what it is that you talk about. So having a clear market is very key. And this is another one that's particularly important if monetizing at the mic is a priority for you. Your services are already selling to your ideal client. You've tapped out on all your referrals and the people that you already know, and it's time to reach audiences that you haven't yet met. Because if you have a product or service that's already selling to a happy, ideal client community, the likelihood is that more people find out about you, the more those people can do business with you too. If your offer is not yet dialed in, it's questionable to my way of thinking about whether or not you want to start podcast guesting with the expectation of monetizing initially, because you haven't proven your offer yet. And that really needs to be a foundational area of focus for you. So let's just assume that you do like to talk and type. You're great at building relationships. You already have a product that's selling to your ideal market and you're ready to grow. If that's the case, you are an excellent candidate to benefit from podcast guesting. So here's a couple of other questions you want to consider. Number one, do you enjoy the prospect of speaking up on 1 or 2 podcasts a week as a steady, consistent habit? Not a random, oh, by the way, we'll see about it if it happens, great kind of approach, but as a steady, consistent habit. Anything that you do consistently, steadily, and as a well-formed habit is likely to pay off for you. And anything that you do as a dabbler is likely to bring a dabbling result. Number 2, does the prospect of speaking up on 1 or 2 podcasts a week spark enthusiasm, energy, and excitement within you that you can't wait to do it and make the impact that only you can make? If you don't feel the energy, the enthusiasm, or the excitement for it and look at it as just one more thing to do, then podcast guesting is probably not your best approach. And number 3, are you the kind of person that wants to learn how to fish so you're never hungry for an audience ever again? Or are you the kind of person that just wants it done for you and all you have to do is show up and speak up at the mic? I want to talk a little bit about this. If you're in the second camp, I want to elaborate a little bit, because just because an agency sets you up with bookings doesn't mean that there isn't more work for you to do. Will you still have to show up for the pre-interview if required? Yes. Will you still have to listen to the show before you're on the show to make sure that you're a perfect fit and that you can rise up to meet the vibe of the host and be the best possible guest? Yes. If the host asks you to fill out a pre-interview form, the best person to do that is you, and there's time involved with that. And there are other administrative things that you'll need to do as a podcast guest above and beyond the actual time that you assign to being a guest on any given show. So I just wanted to sort of clear up any murkiness that there may be out there, that even if you are someone who makes the decision to hire an agency to represent you, there's still a fair amount of work for you to do that cannot be delegated. It's really going to be up to you. So I hope I didn't burst any bubbles there. So if you're thinking, I'm in the second camp, I want this done for me, I'm ready to hire an agency, I think that's awesome. And if you would like to be introduced to the very best world-class done-for-you podcast booking agency that I know of, let me hear from you at nancy@getknowngetpaid.com, and I will make a personal introduction on your behalf. I know the principal, and I'm more than happy to make that referral. But here's something that I want you to consider before you make that request. Before you go all in on any strategy, podcast guesting or anything else, it's my firm belief that you should prove to yourself that you love it and are good at it and that it can pay off for you in short order before making a year-long commitment to any kind of contract. My suggestion is that you book yourself on 12 or more shows, the right shows, under your own power and initiative to prove that you like it, that you're good at it, and that you can make it pay off. And then once you get some momentum going, keep at it to advance along the path to mastery, to sharpen the saw and let one good show lead to another and see how fun and profitable and fruitful this can be. You may discover that your natural talents for talking, typing, and relationship building and delivering content are naturally suited for podcast guesting. And now that you've jumped in the pool, you just want to swim there regularly and more every week. You'll find that your audience, you'll build an audience for your work. Your message will travel to further and farther places, and new opportunities will present themselves. You may also find yourself or astound yourself with the brilliant results that you accomplish without investing in an outside service. either way, I think you win, because if you discover that you're really good at this and you say, I'm ready to delegate this to an agency, you can sign on the dotted line with that agency, making that investment, knowing that you've been there, done that, got the t-shirt, and are 100% all in with that commitment to make podcast guesting your favorite visibility strategy. And you can benefit from the services that that agency provides and all the bells and whistles that go with it. If you discover that you are not well suited to podcast guesting and you are not good at it and you have not been able to get to ROI, what have you lost? You've lost nothing. You've learned something, but you haven't put $25,000 on the line to make a disappointing decision. Because when it comes to making decisions about our resources and the things that we invest into, as CEOs, we have to make the decision, what are we going to delegate and what are we going to do? Now, if you've got a legal matter, if you've got an investment issue, if you've got a tax issue, the expertise associated with navigating the terrain of taxes, legal advice, and investments requires years of study, and it's false economy to try to learn how to do that yourself and to forego the investment in proper professional services. So if you're hiring experts to solve serious problems, hire experts to solve serious problems and get those problems solved. But I am a roll up the sleeves, learn how to do things and own skills for the rest of my life kind of person. That's my philosophy. That's a value that I hold. I believe in fiscal responsibility. And what I want you to know is that the skills associated with learning to book yourself on a top podcast are not, it's not rocket science. I have a system, it's a 6-piece system where you prepare, position, prioritize, pitch, ping pong, and profit so that you can accomplish magnificent things as a podcast guest. You don't need a PhD or a degree in any particular additional subject to master the 6 Ps, but what you do need is time in the trenches to get to a level of mastery so that it feels comfortable and easy and fun for you and also fruitful. I maintain that taking a roll up your sleeves and learn a skill set that you can own for the rest of your life's approach is fiscally responsible at a time in our economy when uncertainty, inflation, and rising interest rates are putting pressure on all of us to get our best value and results from whatever resources we have to bring to bear to bring our results in our businesses. So with everything that I've said so far, I'm just curious. Are you a dyed-in-the-wool do-it-yourselfer, or are you someone who wants to hire this out? If you are in either camp, I invite you to join me for a special masterclass that I'll be leading in a couple of weeks. I'm calling it the Podcast Dream Guest Mastery Masterclass. And I'm going to share with you during that session important ninja strategies before, during, and after an interview so that you can become the podcast dream guest that your top host can't wait to book. And then you can jump into the pool and see that you could really accomplish magnificent things as a podcast guest under your own power, or if you so choose, with an agency that you elect to engage. My fondest wish is that you will make podcast guesting a well-formed habit. Just 1 or 2 shows a week could bring you to thousands and thousands of people who needed to know about you and the problems you solved and the approach that you bring to solving that problem so that they would want to do business with you. And in a post-pandemic arena that we find ourselves in, where live events have not come back in full force, the power that you have to raise your voice and make your impact without leaving your home is pretty darn intoxicating. So if you are excited about that, I'll drop a link in the chat so that you can register for the masterclass coming up soon. And I look forward to having you there. It's going to be my typical generous sharing of ninja strategies and finesse that is needed so that you can be the podcast dream guest the top host can't wait to book. Since the pandemic hit, I have trained thousands of people in my 6-piece system. Many of them are booking themselves regularly on shows, hosting shows of their own, and welcoming all kinds of spin-off opportunities that are giving them reasons to smile all the way to the bank. If you want what they're having, I will see you soon at the masterclass. My name is Nancy Juetten. Thanks for listening. Bye-bye.